Okay, Wildcat, today we're on journal page 37, solve rational equations. Solving rational equations steps. Step 1, multiply each term by the common denominator. Step 2, divide out common factors. Step 3, simplify. Step 4, solve the equation. Now, if quadratic, step 5 is you want to put in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Step 6 would be factor or use the quadratic formula. Step 7 would set each factor equal to 0. Step 8, check for extraneous solutions. If linear, step 5, set variables on one side equal to a number on the other side. Step 6, check for extraneous solutions. Okay, if you would, update your notes. Okay. Now let's take a look at our examples. Example 1, solve the rational equation by making a table of values, selecting the correct graph, and giving the x-intercepts, okay? So the first thing we need to do is we need to add 1 to both sides, okay? Now when you do that, you have x divided by x plus 2 plus 1 equal to 0, okay? Now we're going to substitute y in for 0, so we're going to graph y equals x divided by x plus 2 plus 1, okay? So let's do that now. We're going to use Desmos to do that, okay? So graphing calculator. But the problem is here you don't have a table. We want a table. So let's actually go to Google, and we want to write Desmos table and graph. Okay, Google Desmos table and graph. We get function table. We want that. Okay. Now we don't want this function, so we're going to delete that. And we don't want these values. Okay. So now in the function we're going to type in divide, and we're going to put in x divided by x plus 2 plus 1. Okay. And the problem gave us these x values. So we're going to plug those in. So -6, -4, -3, -1.5, -1, and 0. Okay. So let's go ahead and write those down here. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me write them down on a paper while I have the screen up. So -6 is 2.5. 3, 4, -2, 0, 1. Okay, so there's our y values. And now as a point, well, that's just -6, 2.5, 3, 4, -2, 0, and 1. So -6, comma 2.5, -4, comma 3, -3, comma 4, -1.5, comma -2, -1, comma 0, and 0, comma 1. Okay, go and complete the table. Okay. Now it says we're going to graph using Desmos, which you already have, but now we're going to use that graph to find the x-intercept. Okay. So I'm going to come over here. The x-intercept is that point right there because it intersects the x-axis. So that's -1, comma 0. So the x-intercept is -1, comma 0. So the solution is x equals -1. Okay, so if go ahead and finish up example 1. Separate the papers, got it. All right, now let's take a look at example 2. Solve the rational equation by selecting the correct graph and using a table of values. Round all values to the nearest tenths place. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, so we get x divided by 2x minus 4 minus 3 equal to 0. We're going to substitute y in for 0, so we're going to graph in Desmos y equals x divided by 2x minus 4 minus 3. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to put in these x values from the problem. Okay. So let's delete that. Okay, delete this function. And so then we're going to go here, press divide, x divided by 2x minus 4 minus 3. Okay, we can minimize that. Now, we're going to plug in the values from the problem. So 0, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 12. Now, it says round to the nearest tenth. So, that's going to be 0, negative 3, negative 1.5, negative 2. That'd be negative 2.3 for rounding to the tenths. Okay. The 5 rounds the 2 up to a 3. So negative 2.3 and then negative 2.4. Okay. So the point would be 0, negative 3, negative 1.5, 4 comma, negative 4, negative 2, 6, negative 2.3, 7, negative 2.3, and then 1.2 comma negative 2.4. Okay. All right, go ahead and complete the table. All right, now we're going to graph the function using Desmos, which we already have, but now we're going to use that graph to find the x-intercept. Okay. So that is that point right there, 2.4 comma 0. Okay. So the x-intercept is 2.4 comma 0. The solution is x equals 2.4. Okay. Go ahead and finish up example 2. All right. Example 3. Solve the rational equation algebraically. Okay. First thing we do is multiply by the common denominator. Okay. Now, the easiest way is to multiply all the denominators to get the common denominator. So 2x times 6 times 6x is, well, 6 times 2 is 12, 12 times 6 is 72. X times x is x squared. Now that's, you can do that, okay, but this one has an easier denominator. Notice this has a 6, this has a 6x, okay, this has a 2x. Well, you got to think about, what can I multiply this by that everything can divide into? Well, 6 can divide into 6, 6 can divide into 6, and 2 can divide into 6. So instead of using 72x squared, the easier one is we can multiply everything by 6x. This is fine. You can do that. That's mathematically correct. It's just going to make the numbers really big and kind of make the problem more difficult. If you multiply everything by 6x, you'll find that it's going to work out a lot nicer. Okay? All right? So we're going to multiply 6x by everything. Okay? So 6x times 9, and I don't know what 6 times 9 is off the top of my head, so let's do that. Times 9 is 54. Okay? So then that's 54x divided by 2x, okay, minus 6 times 5 is 30x divided by 6 equals 6 times 13 is minus 78. X divided by 6x. Okay. All right. Now, if we did this correctly, the denominators will go away. So let's see. 50 x divided by x is 1. X divided by x is 1. So that's gone. Now, 54 divided by 2 is, let's see. I should know that, but for some reason my mind's blanked by that. So let's 54 divided by 2 is 27. And then minus 30x divided by 6 is minus 5x. Okay, equals, okay, negative 78 divided by 6 is minus 13. Okay. Now our next step is we're going to subtract 27 from both sides. Okay. So that cancels. You're left with minus 5x equals negative 40. Divide both sides by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, so you're left with x equals negative 40 divided by negative 5 is a positive 8. Okay. All right, but you always want to check to make sure that's a valid solution. Okay. So we're going to come over here. Let's check x equals 8. What I mean by check is you're going to plug in 8 back into the original equation, and the left side should equal the right side. If it doesn't, then x equals 8 is an extraneous solution. Okay, so that's 9 divided by 2 times 8 minus 5 divided by 6 equals negative 13 divided by 6 times 8. So we're going to use Desmos to do this. Okay, let's see. But we don't want that. We want the calculator. So we're going to go to desmos.com again. We're going to go to scientific calculator. And we're going to do 9 divided by 2 times 8 minus 5 divided by 6. Now that's negative 0.27. Okay. Now let's do negative. Oh, hold on. Negative 13 divided by 6 times 8. You'll see that these numbers match. That means the left side equals the right side. So, back here, negative 0.27. So we can say that negative 0.27 okay, negative 0.27 is equal to negative 0.27. Okay, so since this checks, we can say that x equals 8 is our solution. Okay. All right, so go ahead and finish up example 3. All right, example 4. Okay, we need to multiply by the common denominator. And the easiest way to find the common denominator is we multiply the denominator. So 5 times x plus 1. So we're going to multiply everything by 5 times x plus 1. Okay. If you do this correctly, then the denominator will go away. Okay. So 5x plus 1 times 3 is 15x plus 1 divided by x plus 1 plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2 is plus 10 times x plus 1 divided by 5, and then equals, you have to multiply, because of the equality, you have to multiply this by every term, okay? Otherwise, you're not being equal. Okay, 5 times x plus 1 times 2 is 10 times x plus 1, okay? So now, anything divided by itself is 1, so this becomes 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2, so we have 15 plus 10 divided by 5 is 2 times x plus 1 equals 10 times x plus 1. Okay. Now we need to simplify and solve. So we're going to need to distribute the 2 here and the 10 here. So that's 15 plus 2 times x plus 1 is 2x plus 2 equals 10x plus 10. Now we need to get all of the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. So first, let's combine 15 and 2 is 17. So that's 2x plus 17. We combine the 2 and the 15 equals 10x plus 10. Now, what I think we should do is subtract 2x from both sides. Okay? And then we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. Now, if we do this, the x's cancel. 17 minus 10 is 7. Okay, equals 10x minus 2 is 8x. Okay, and we're going to divide both sides by 8. So x equals 7 divided by 8. Now, we need to check if that is a solution, okay? But checking with a fraction is difficult, so let's see if we can get that as a decimal, okay? So let me go over here, and we're done with this. Okay, 7 divided by 8 is 0.875, okay? So we're going to check. Okay. X equals 7/8, but we know that's equal to 0.875. Okay, so we're going to plug that everywhere there's an X. Okay, and you don't actually have to go to write this down. You can actually just go right into plugging this into decimals. And so let's do that now. Okay, so let's delete this. So we have 3 divided by 0.875 plus 1 plus 2 divided by 5, okay, and that equals 2. Well, that means that 2 equals 2, okay, since 2 equals 2, that checks, that means this value checks, okay, that means our solution is x equals 7 divided by 8, okay, go ahead and finish up example 4. All right, example 5. Okay, solve the rational equation algebraically. Now, what we need to do first is factor this, and then we can see what the greatest, or the common denominator is, okay? So, 49 divided by, we know to factor that's 2 parentheses, minus, let's go ahead and write that out, minus 6 divided by x plus 3 equals 7 divided by x minus 4, okay? Now, to make x squared, we know x times x, but now we need to find out what numbers multiply to give you negative 12 and combine to be negative 1, okay? Okay, well, we know that 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. 1 minus 12 is negative 11, okay? 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Okay, that's not it. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. 3 minus 4 equals negative 1. We have our negative 12 or negative 1. That means our factors are x plus 3, x minus 4. Okay. Now, normally I'd say multiply all the denominators together and get the common denominator, but look, you can see that the common denominator are x plus 3 and x minus 4 because that's the only thing in the denominator. So we can multiply everything by x plus 3 times x minus 4. And if we do this correctly, the denominators will go away. Okay, so then it becomes 49 times x plus 3, x minus 4, divided by, okay, x plus 3, x minus 4, minus 6 times x plus 3, x minus 4, divided by x plus 3, and then equals 7 times x plus 3, x minus 4 divided by x minus 4. Notice I immediately put what's going to divide become 1 underneath each other. So this divides becomes 1, 1, 1, 1. So you're left with 49 minus 6 times x minus 4 equals, that becomes 1. So then 7 times x plus 3. And again, we did it correctly because the denominator went away. Okay? So now we need to distribute. So that's 49 minus 6x plus 24 equals 7x plus 21. Now, let's go ahead and combine 49 and 24, which I'm going to use a calculator because I don't know that off the top of my head. 49 plus 24 equals 73. So then that's negative 6x plus 73 equals 7x plus 21. Okay, now we want the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. So we're going to add 6x to both sides and subtract 21 from both sides. Okay, you do that, the x's cancel. You're left with 52 equals 13x. Let's divide both sides by 13. Okay, so then x equals, what's the 52 divided by 13? I had to guess 4, but I could be wrong. 53 divided by, 52 divided by 13 is 4. Okay, so x equals 4. But we need to check x equals 4. So we're going to plug in 4 back into this, and if the left side equals the right side, it's a solution. If it's not, then it's an extraneous solution. And again, you don't have to write down. Let's just go right to Desmos. All right, so I'm going to delete this. Okay, so then 49 divided by 4 squared minus 1 times 4 minus 12, and then minus 6 divided by 4 plus 3. That says undefined. Let's do 7 divided by 4 minus 4. Oh, it's undefined. Now, even though these equal each other, it's undefined. And if it's undefined, then we say that x equals 4 is an extraneous solution, because when you plug it in, you get undefined on the left side and the right side. So we're saying that there is no solution. All right? So if you would, finish up your examples and have a wonderful Wildcat day.